understand what is going to happen and then adapt throughout the series as we jump into Champion Select. The first one out of a best of 5. By the way, Jamada, it's my first best of 5 in English, so
okay.
I'm excited for this one. Zed is going to be taken out of the equation alongside with Lee Sin and Twisted Fate. So Lightside are pushing the boundaries on specific champions. On the other side, it's more of okay, we don't want to deal with this. This is really good in the meta right now. Hecarim as well. For the AD carries, I'm not expecting like a big focus. You can leave the Jinx, you can leave the Aphelios. You have a lot of answers. Miss Fortune is actually rising in terms of priority as well. She's so good in the bot lane. You can pick whatever you want with her in terms of itemization. Let's see what the last ones are going to be for Lightside and Wraith as well.
Yeah, the Veigar V2 builds, man, they're just flashing in my head. For mana, definitely. But yeah, like you were sort of starting to highlight there, there's been a lot of trends in this patch and how teams draft. In particular, blue side is more about sort of target focus bans on individuals, whereas on red side you're still banning out the very strong champions here. What would be very in character for red side right now would be to just remove away the Jinx. You're a little more okay with the Aphelios going over if you think light side even really play it or put too much preference on it. The volley bear is also something that gets banned away quite a lot, and that was definitely the trade that Wraith were looking to make there. They could either ban away the volley bear or the Jinx and then give over the opposite, or they could have actually left both of them up if they felt like running the volley themselves and then gone for something away from that. But it will be the Jinx for Sadie here, and we'll see how Wraith want to respond. Because like we said, the Aphelios is still up. You still have all of the priority junglers. Seems like Xin Zhao will be the choice for Born this way, and I expect Victor might just end up leaning on the likes of that Viego when we get around to that B2B3. But Wraith, options here, they can go for, you know, a strong sort of mid jungle if they want to here. They could go for the AD carry. I think these are all very fine options for them in this moment in time.
Interesting, because Xin Zhao was one of the champions that got tweaked in this patch. Invulnerability for his ultimate got a little bit weaker right now. You have less seconds with that, but they are going to follow up with the AD carry of their own instead of bringing something else, because they know they can secure it on R3, the AD carry, but they want to secure it on R2. Interesting desire, so it's more utility buys. You can play safely, and you're safe as well. No matter what you bring into the bot lane, even if you want to bring a lot of engage like this Jarvan as well, you don't need to be afraid. As soon as you get the level 6, you're more than comfortable with that. So Jarvan coming in, I know there's a lot of people talking about the Jarvan with first strike. It's not my cup of tea, I would say. I think Conqueror is so good on this champion, but at least they're showing signs of aggression, the early aggression on our light side. Do they follow it up like with the support and then save the rest of the map? Or
I think so. I think so, and I think definitely what would have been flowing through the minds of light side is probably the Rakan as well, because you look at the side of Wraith right now, jungle's not really a hard engaged champion. You already have the Xayah. The Rakan just kind of props up in your mind as a pretty safe to go for R3 here if you are Wraith. Light side, they do round out their B3 with that Karma, so obviously a little bit flexible, likely to end up with the Jinx more times than it doesn't. But we've seen a lot of, honestly, mid lane Karma with the Moonstone to just provide a whole bunch of utility, and Moonstone actually getting, I'm pretty sure, nerfed on 12.7. Obviously we're still on 12.5.B, but they are looking at the item because it is still very strong. Wraith, they will end up rounding out their draft with the expected engage, but it isn't going to be the Rakan, it will be the Norless instead. A little more sort of confirmed. We always know we're going to be able to press depth charge on one particular champion and go from there. It does kind of limit maybe the range of the engage, per se, or the flexibility, but at least you still have that confirmed lockdown if you do find the skills. Syndra going to be moved away from FAP now, as they are not sold, that will be mid lane Karma, and unsurprisingly Arcane Teddy gets that Tryndamere band away from him. Wouldn't be too surprised to see the likes of the Fiora or the Camille join that band table too.
This is something now they have to deal with. Arcane Teddy will always have priority as the last pick. We don't know if they're going to secure Topi with the counter pick or Arcane Teddy, but obviously Arcane Teddy is one of those champions in Raid Gaming that have been proving themselves throughout the entire split in Division 2, that this is a hungry player. He wants to carry the team, and he has been capable of doing so. And with the Xin Zhao, you already have some sort of setup. He doesn't need a lot of CC, so you're comfortable to pick whatever you want to that top side. So you do you move another the top side, and there we go, it's going to be the Jace, but that's not the entire champion pool coming in from Arcane Teddy, so you can dim it, thin it, but it's not going to be a delete on Arcane Teddy. They probably pick a blind pick for the mid laner. There's a lot of picks that you can bring into top that is comfortable with, or maybe do a switcheroo.
This would be a bit of a switcheroo, so I wonder if this is Wraith, if they do go for this Aatrox saying, we expect last second naughty. I think it just makes sense, right? You have Arcane Teddy on red side, give him the counter pick. He is always so incremental to how Wraith play the game, and it will be Topi on that Vex, and it will be answered out by 5P's Victor, which has definitely been one of his strong performing champions. And there you go. That Karma is actually going to end up in Svene's hands as Touch locks in the Braum to get that counter matchup in the bottom side. So, and now what I expect from the top lane of Arcane Teddy is probably something a little more explosive. You initially maybe think, okay, might just go for the Aatrox. We've seen him take that lane before, but right now you've got a losing bot lane matchup. You've got a bot lane match, mid lane matchup, which is going to probably be like priority favored for rate for most of the early game. Give Arcane Teddy something he can win the 1v1 on, and that's why I love to see the Aurelia come in here, because they already have so much dive going for them between the Vex, the Xin Zhao, and now the Aurelia on top of that.
Okay, now that we have access to these teams, Jamada, and looking into the top lane, obviously as a Jarvan, you don't want to go to the top side unless you have a really prepared gank and a lot of poke is coming in the early game. It's going to be really hard to get Sven ahead in this matchup, and no matter what happens, Irelia isn't Irelia, especially in the hands of Arcane Teddy. So do you believe that Victor is going to focus in Fatty P lane or Sadie lane alongside with the Braum? That's a lot of priority in the bot side to get a gank, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in more cases than not, Lightside, they're just going to leave Svene to his own devices, hope that he's able to sort of stabilize his own lane, try and play out that level 1 to 2 as well as he possibly can, keep Arcane Teddy at arm's length, and for Rate, it's about, you know, enabling Arcane Teddy and Topi at the same time. I think the bottom side matchup is just a little bit too hard to really play out. I think the Braum has so much value. It can block the feathers. It can obviously, you know, re-engage on the Nautilus if Nautilus goes in, and there's just so much setup in general. In the bottom side between Chompers, between Braum just being able to, you know, stack the passive so quickly because he's got the Jinx with him, and even the jungle as well can do it quite quick. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough matchup for Rate to play on the bottom side. I expect we're going to see a borderline map split, honestly, in terms of pressure. I think it's just going to be Rate really hammering home the point of trying to get Arcane Teddy ahead in the top side, and then for Lightside, it's hopefully about being proactive around the bottom side. My only concern at the moment is that they're, you know, with the exception of the Jarvan, the options for engage are limited. And I think that is definitely something that could hinder them. But in the early game, if they can get lane priority and actually try and force dives, force out, you know, resets, and they take tower plates and they try and feed this Jinx the resources she requires to carry this game, they can put themselves in a decent position. But again, the diving threat of the Aurelia, the Vex, the Xin Zhao, and even the Nautilus to a degree is going to be something that's going to be very difficult for this Lightside composition to deal with.
It's one of those games that you pick an hyper carry as an AD carry, and you're like, okay, well, I'm comfortable. I have a lot of peel. I have a lot of priority in the bot side, so I'm going to carry this one. And you see the Vex, you see the Aurelia. This is not going to be a fun game. This is not going to be a fun game. Please, guys, protect me. I need to survive in team fights. And this is specifically a Lightside mission. They have to prove themselves. They did it throughout the entire split. Yes, they did. But they were the team that almost got kicked off playoffs. And they need to fight off versus Raid, who are really comfortable right now. So welcome to the first Summoner's Rift out of this best of 5. It's going to be Lightside versus Raid. We got Arcane Teddy ready to carry, but on the other side, it's going to be Sadie with the Jinx. Let's see who's the stronger one in this matchup.
Yeah, I am very excited to see how this game goes, and I think more a case study of confidence for Lightside for me, because again, we heard many times in the interviews how many of the Lightside members were feeling about their performances, and just in general, I said it earlier in the pre-show, I believe out of the teams that could have qualified for that final spot in playoffs, Lightside were maybe our weakest candidate. I think you have very good arguments to say London could have been in a much stronger position come into playoffs. But Lightside were the ones that made it here on those tiebreaker rules. Now they have to prove that they deserve to be here and to have made it. I think they definitely have a decent amount of tools and set up to do that.
Nice control on the bot side coming in from Raid at level 1. They know person is waiting for that engage. Guardian will certainly protect Sadi if there's some sort of engage. There's a little bit of poke coming in for Nomi, but level 2 will be secured in a few seconds. Will Raid take this opportunity to get the engage? Yes, they will. Hooks himself against the wall, gets the root going on. Nomi instantly with the heal, and even though he gets healed, look at Sadi going down so fast. This is Jinx pulling backwards because Sadi is now doing way too much damage, and person is the one falling back. So flash burned out of Nomi alongside with the heal on the Lightside side. Nothing was burned, Jamada.
Yeah, nothing was burned. That's, I don't want to say concerning, but I feel like Zeddy and Touch had the opportunity to just win that 2v2 out. You had 3 stacks on the concussive blows there. On top of Nomi, flash forward. Maybe they're concerned about Born this way, doing some kind of like 2 camp, 3 camp even into the bottom lane, and that's why they didn't want to commit fully. It's hard to really tell, but they still have their summoners, and maybe we can get some kind of commit here onto Person Nomi, but they're just too far back. Victor spotted out on that ward. Gank is going to be averted now. Born This Way is also here, but they actually go in on the back half.
They're trying to burn some sort of cooldowns because they know Born This Way is just around the corner. But now Victor is probably getting vision out of that Jin Zhao. Oh, he's going to do a cheeky one, trying to go for the lane gank, but the minions are not in a good position right now. Almost gets himself spotted. They need to clear this one, but without revealing that the gank is appearing. But look at the mid line. Instantly, Born This Way, looking for Fatty P, trying to burn anything, but Fatty P was aware that Jin Zhao was coming from the bot side, Jamada.
Yep, Fatty P hugging the right side of the map. Just ensuring that he was as far away as he possibly could be from Born This Way. Let's hope he wasn't able to get on top of him or anything like that before the gang set up, so no kill or flash would even be burned by Fatty P, but decent amount of pressure put out from Born This Way. Same thing with Victor, but just unfortunately, again, the engaged tools themselves are relatively limited, right? It's just about that flag and drag to get that knock up and the slow from the concussive blows. Maybe if you can find the zap slow as well, but this is the thing, it's slow, slow, slow into eventual stun and knock up. Nomi just
gets crucified out of nowhere. This is first blood giving up for Lightside. Victor again on the bot side, but even without him, I think that was kind of given.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a freebie there from Nomi. To be honest with you, just kind of walks up almost kind of senselessly. Person's not going to be able to hold that wave for his AD carry. We haven't really looked too much up here in the top lane, but maybe we might have to keep on looking up here because I think Svene's in trouble after him.
He is. The chain is going to connect Arcane Teddy with the Conqueror as well. Wind becomes lightning is available. Born This Way flashes and fails it. At least burns the flash for flash, but teleport is available, and that's not the victory that Raid are looking for in this first game.
Yeah, just quiet there on the lethality of that gank. I think Born This Way held onto the wind becomes lightning a little bit too long, and yeah, I mean, I guess no flash has the chompers put behind him. Just feels not going to be able to retreat in time. Definitely understand why he decides to walk forward. Just good positioning from Sadie to get those chompers down. Confirms the kill, gets the first blood onto the Jinx. That is going to be so crucial. We spoke about, again, how important it should be for Lightside to get this Jinx ahead, to get the resources into that hyper carry, and for IP, crucially as well in the mid lane, to just have a very stable laning phase. And so far, those criteria are being met. Rate haven't been able to find anything on the top side of, well, real value, to be honest with you. They found Svene's flash, but it looks like Svene is actually going to be rushing Frozen Heart, given his itemization right now. Definitely,
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a smart call. Yeah, no, I think it's a smart call. You get all of that armor, it slows down the Aurelia's attack speed a little bit. I think it's totally fine. You've got the grass to at least stack up a little bit of HP before you end up building anything that will give you health value here. As Victor, another round of ganks.
There's no flash for Nomi yet again, getting knocked up, and it's going to be another sacrifice coming in for Sadie. It's going to be the Jinx with 2 kills starting up this game. Lightside needed to prove themselves as the team that got qualified, and they're doing it certainly at the beginning of the game.
Absolutely, they are indeed. We were definitely questioning their ability to be proactive in the early game. I think that was definitely one of the drawbacks of the team in Lightside, right? We know that they're a very talented team. They have very strong individuals across the board, but it just felt like, especially in the back half of the split, 2 and 7, many of those losses just came off the back of inactivity in the early game when you feel like they had all the tools to actually get ahead in the stronger lanes where they needed to. This time around, they're definitely making right of that wrong. Sadie now 2-0 on that Jinx. Has that nuke, has the pickaxe. Fast tracking towards that Gale Force or Kraken Slayer. And for Rate, again, not really up to too much on the map right now. They're not really pushing a lead in the top side. Arcane Teddy's barely really up in CS. And whilst this is, you know, maybe okay, because again, you've got so much dive threat, and there is effectively what is going to be a bit of a composition from Lightside where they're just waiting for Rate to come into them, and they, you know, defend these dives. It's still a very scary situation to put yourselves in. But right now, Rate, they're not looking really as if they're going to push any kind of major lead. That Flawless Duet does connect, and Teddy will get some nice damage down, but
just teasing.
Got to be out of it. Yeah, just teasing.
Just teasing, but this early game is completely in Lightside side. The idea that they got the kills, they also got the pressure, they got the dragon as well. Even if they wanted to go for the soul rates, that is like an early soul is no longer an equation. Cloud Drake is going to follow it up. Let's see what Soul is going to be blessing us to begin this one. It's Victor now. Okay, I feel comfortable on the bot side. I know Arcane Tate is going for the engage, so he's just looking for the prowl. Victor comes in, but the ultimate from Arcane Tate is going to connect, and instantly they're forced to go back. They don't want to fight this Adelia, especially when the passive is fully stacked up.
Yeah, fully stacked up. Vamp Scepter. No thank you is exactly what Lightside's topside say, but now Born this way on top of Svene. No flash from the earlier gank, remember. That is a dead Karma.
Yes, it is. So finally getting themselves something. Rotation coming in from Person, allowing them to probably go instantly for the Herald. But this leaves the bot lane open as well. Sadie in touch can dive on the Xayah. She's still not level 5. If they want to do it, this could be the perfect time to do so.
Yeah, definitely could do so, but 2 summoner spells available for the Xayah. Even if they stack up this wave, I think it's just not going to be in time. As even looking at the XP bar, I think even just 1 range creep should give her level 6, the Xayah. We'll see if they try and make it work though. Level 6 available for both Touch and Sadi. FAP is also making this rotation down to try and force the Xayah off the wave, but I think even the XP of 1 creep, you can see Nomi's positioning. He's got the level 6 now. Still doesn't want to
goes away from the turret though. Okay, pulls in the Featherstone, flashes away, so that's a flash for flash. Exhaust was used as well. Victor was around the corner looking for something as well, but the rotation now finally coming in from Raid. They try to re-engage on Touch, but there's a gravity field trying to slow them down, and I don't think... Oh, finally gets a connect. Lumi Darkness coming in personal space as well. Inside is so low. They need that kill. Flashes in for Touch, but it's going to be Victor running away, leaving Brom to die. But that's it. I think Victor's body is going to collapse as well for another kill, and all of a sudden... 3 kills coming in for Rage Armada.
Oh, it's actually just the nightmare scenario for Lightside. They lose out on the top side lane because Vene ends up getting caught out. They can't contest the Herald. They lose the Herald. Then they try and cross map on the bottom side, but they take too long. They overcommit and rate. They make it back down to the bottom side to punish the dive. And Nomi doesn't even end up losing too many creeps there on that bottom wave either. Maybe half the wave, if that. Now this Herald's even going to get dropped in the mid lane, and whilst it's not necessarily, you know, the entire tower, 3 plates between Topi and Born this way is going to be a massive fluctuation of gold. As actually, I'd like to ask if we could get a look at the gold now, because that was a massive swing. Take a look at the mid lane, 600, 700 gold difference now. In the jungle, over 1,000 because of the kills and all of those plays that actually went over. So that's a massive swing of gold for Rate. They're up 1,000 gold now.
It's only Xayah a little bit behind for Raid, but you know that champion will be capable of dealing damage, getting the CC as well, and protecting himself with his ultimate. So there's not a lot of issues coming in for Nomi, who's playing Xayah now. I mean, you probably know from the start that you're not going to out-damage a Jinx in the prolonged fight. You need to be more of an AD caster if you want to play this Xayah. So that's why they're letting her fall a little bit. Specifically, she's going for the Serenity Zerg. So now you know it's going to be the Lethality Xayah, mostly out of cooldown. So I think the only issue for them is no longer existing.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I think I will say, just a sort of tangent briefly, I still feel like on Lethality Xayah, I feel like Halo Blades is normally just better for lane. Even in a lane like this where you might get a little bit out of range in the auto attack department, like getting those initial feathers down is so crucial, as Arcane Teddy could be in trouble. Glacier Fisher comes down.
Oh, Vanguard's edge goes the other side. He thought he was on the blue side. All of a sudden, Arcane Teddy going slower and lower. One more hit will do it inside. He gets himself on a killing spree. And now look at those plates falling. So even though Xayah will be an utility AD carry, they're still looking for the first out. But mid lane instantly being focused down, and Fatty P rotates to help.
Yeah, this is uncontested as well. Sadic got an entire plate to himself, and we'll get so much more. Another cannon wave coming in as well. Touch will help shove this one in. And whilst this is being traded on the bottom side by Nomi, and there will be a dragon that comes in by Rate, you have to just say this feels a lot more light side favor the play when you consider who the gold is actually going into. Arcane Teddy will teleport back, but I mean, should just get rooted up. Not going to be at any threat of actually diving onto Touch or Sadie. Plates do get traded here by Nomi. So Xayah does come back into the game a little bit when you consider, though, that this Jinx already had a Kraken Slayer, already had boots and some of the components to get towards the Berserker Greaves. That is so much gold to give to a Jinx.
Yeah, and okay, 5,000 gold for 4,000. Obviously, 1,300 gold is not something you want to watch, specifically on an hyper carry. But you know that lethality build is a little bit cheaper than the other one for Sadie. So that's something to take into account, because Nomi is taking a lot of plates by himself and experience as well. So they're trying to balance it a little bit. But is this enough? Because Arcane Teddy might get doved on the top side if no one helps him. But all of a sudden, Jarvan is going back to base. He has a lot to buy in. And another plate falling in for Sadie.
Here's another plate. As Arcane Teddy, you can tell, you can really see the mentality of Arcane Teddy. He really wants to get ahead. Dive on to that Jinx, but look at the top side rushes. Victor waiting there as well. Would have been a 3v1. Does have backup, technically born this way. And Person are in his back pocket, but they're just not as close, and they're just going to death brush Arcane Teddy here. If he dashes onto those back creeps, they are just going to go. They're going to wait for him to kill all the creeps.
He dodges the first one. Flawless duet. He's going to stun everybody, but it doesn't matter. He's going to be collapsed. One more hit for Sadie. Almost takes him down. If Born this way was a little bit faster, they might get the shutdown. Oh. They notice with the sweeper. That would be enough. Cataclysm locks two of them, but it's not going to happen. There we go, the follow-up from Looming Darkness, and Sadie's going to finally be brought down. That's a massive shutdown for Topi. They won't touch, but they're not able to touch him, so he will survive on this situation. Oh, they got way too greedy. As Torak told me, Los Platos. You know the greediness that you get for the plates? We call it Los Platos.
Los Platos, I love that thing. As Ray, they punish. Victor goes in, Cataclysms, tries to E-flag out, but unfortunately gets interrupted by, I think, the 3 talent strikes. Svene gonna try and cause Topi some irritants, but not too much ability power in Svene's build, though that is a lot of damage. I think Topi should be able to walk this one out, though. Unless Svene really wants to go for
slow. He's going down. No, he's not. Born this way. Got enough time. He flashes in with the chain. Topi is alive. The shield is protecting him. And Sven in the end pays the ultimate price. The greediness brings him down.
It's a kind donation, considering it's not even Sunday from Svene. As I think we have a replay on its way here. Let's see exactly what happens, because Arcane Teddy just steps a little bit too far forward. And you have to say, I mean, even if you look at the minimap, where are the members of Lightside? They're probably going to be topside initially. So not that I'm necessarily following Arcane Teddy for doing what he's doing, but Born this way Person, you'd have to imagine maybe you just want them a little bit closer. So much damage comes out onto Sadie, and that's before Blade of the Ruined King even comes out. And that is always going to be the looming threat of the Aurelia diving onto the back line. As yes, Victor, I think, just wants the Cataclysm to lock them in and sort of disengage, but I feel like it's just an unnecessary sacrifice, as that's a great flash personal space by Topi to lock down the Jinx. The 700 gold goes into his back pocket. Probably has more than that mythic finished up now on the way to second item, which I imagine, given the stopwatch and the tome, likely looking at Azonia's, as Svene gonna get locked down here, but so here's touch.
Is that enough damage? Topi is there to try and help with that one. He's going to send a Mr. Bolt, dealing a lot of damage. But Sadie joins the fray. That's a shutdown. She's excited and takes 3 down instantly. Obviously, Arcane Teddy is going to run away. Lightside finally getting back something. It's all the kills on Jinx, though.
Yeah, all the kills on Jinx. Sadie.
What are you doing? Sadie, you went too close to the sun. It's now burning, but Arcane Teddy doesn't have enough. Instead, he gets yet another one. They probably will be able to get the T1. Meanwhile, Novi left unattended on the bot side will get the first turret. Yes, he does. But this Jinx is online.
It's just the tale of 2 AD carries. Nobody's on the bottom side. Guys, I finally got the bomb tier 1, and then Sadie just picks up 3 kills and a mid lane tower. Already had the rapid fire cannon coming out of base, and I mean 3 more kills, that's easily going to be a BF sword, maybe a little bit extra as well. This Jinx is so far ahead. We're only 16 minutes into the game. It's not like we're quite far in, and actually picks up the stopwatch just to ensure that if she does get dove onto, power of that stasis is always going to be fine. Right, they will drop the Herald here in the mid lane. They're just going to try and trade back some of this lost gold, but how much will they really get? I mean, this tower was almost a foregone conclusion. Maybe the Herald itself was about to time out. I'm not too sure. A replay quickly before we see this dragon, as Svene is the target, and Svene doesn't have too much armor, and this is why so much damage comes through from Topi in particular, and almost goes down. But then Sadie shows up. They're funneling effectively into a choke here. Svene doesn't go down, and they're on top of the Mantra Q as well. It's just so much AoE damage. And 5P even makes it onto the back end of the flank. Arcane Teddy wasn't there in time, and we come back out into the replay and into a fight.
Instantly, Jamada, we don't have time to breathe on this one. Mountain Drake is alive, and obviously that was going to be the second one. Super Mega Death Rocket goes for Born this way, and that's another reset. Sadie looking for something. Arcane Teddy way too low. Teleport is not available, so we'll not be able to fight this one again. So they have to let this one slide through. Mountain Drake is going to be the second one for Lightside, securing themselves at almost 18 minutes. So Sol is going to take a long time, and Sadi already with the BF getting closer to the Infinity Edge.
Yeah, getting close to the Infinity Edge already. 8-1-1. This Jinx is so damn fed. Rate, it just feels like at the moment, a little bit lost. They've not really had too much of an opportunity, per se, to play towards their win cons in team fights. So I'm not going to critique that just yet, but definitely they can't really frontal approach this team comp of Lightside. You've got the Victor, you've got the Jinx. If you run headfirst into that, when there's also a Karma that's going to have a Moonstone quite soon, with the Braum on top of them as well, it's just going to be too difficult. You have to find flank angles, you have to find these long-range engages. Right now, they've just not been finding them. Lightside have to play this one out as they have been so far. 2 dragons, like you say, Soul is going to be a very, very long time away. But I think at the moment, Rate, they have to just try and get a little bit creative with their team fights at the moment. Their flanks, try and catch Sadie and Faipi out. Faipi's definitely had a pretty stellar game in terms of his positioning so far. Yet to die. Hasn't really felt like he's been in much of a position to die either, though he is currently matching Arcane Teddy. And I don't know how preferential of a matchup that is.
And look at the amount of gold. The difference, it's almost 300, 400. It's not much. Arcane Teddy getting locked down. Flashes with the Vanguard. This is everything. The Cataclysm locks Arcane Teddy. You're not locking in with me. Arcane Teddy almost gets enough damage, but here comes Jinx to help. Not even get a hit. And meanwhile, Nomi and Person are going to focus on the mid lane while Lightside are trying to recall. So if they buy enough time for Nomi, I mean, he's just looking for turrets at this point.
Yeah, just looking for turrets. But again, this is a lethality Zaya. This is an attack speed AD carry.
Yeah.
That's going to burn through this tower quite quickly. Only gets about halfway through that hit health bar. Slow and steady. But Arcane Teddy, I mean, I was saying, I'm not sure how preferential that is for AP in that regard. A bit of a caster curse, if I do say so myself. Steps up, waiting for Victor to go in, but Arcane Teddy just takes matters into his own hands. Flash Vanguard's Edge. Doesn't really have much of a saying. He even gets caught out by the Flawless Duet. Pretty great stuff from Teddy. And I mean, Teddy, known for his Irelia, and this is kind of why you don't want to see Arcane Teddy in a game where he's able to play Irelia. And it is for moments like that. Rate still clinging on though in the grand scheme of things. They're only down, basically not even down anything in the grand scheme of things. They're just about even, but again, it's about where the gold is, because it's Sadie with an 11,500 gold Jinx at 20 minutes. That is almost 500 gold. It's more than that, more than 500 gold generated per minute. As the gold on the opposite side, it's all about Arcane Teddy, it's all about Topi. But the issue is they're dwarfed by this Jinx in terms of how much gold she has, and look how much damage is just coming out.
Way too much. That is supposed to be one of the front line. This is going to sustain himself with the guard drinker, but one auto attack instantly takes another life. There's no smite available. There's no fight to be taken. Teleport is available for Arcane Teddy. I think you just let this one go.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, it's 4v5. The Jinx is too fed, has the Infinity Edge. That's why there was so much damage coming out. Finally found that third item spike at 20 minutes. Nomi
looking for turrets.
Yeah, the stand behind me. Just about going to be enough. Topi might end up giving up his life for this.
Teddy gets knocked up. The follow-up is there, but finally the clock ticks, and he goes golden. Meanwhile, on the back, it's going to be Victor following through. So Nautilus is there. Who else is going to pay the price? Nomi jukes it, but Arcane Teddy joins the fray with the Vanguard's Edge. He's not going to follow it through. Almost gets the stun with the Flawless Duet, but that's just not enough. Sadie's way too ahead.
Yeah, this Jinx is far too far ahead. And Rate, it just feels like at the moment, that Baron buff going down, they're going to lose so many structures here. Born this way tries to interrupt Victor on the mid lane, but it's not going to happen. 5-man push down the mid lane right now. Arcane Teddy dead. Person about to respawn. This could very easily end up being this inhibitor tower falling. Maybe even the inhibitor if they're feeling it, but they don't have ultimates. How far will they go with this push?
Lightside were picked by Wraith, and now they're fighting back. They're finally showing their teeth on this playoffs. Bar this way gets on the back, trying to get the flank, going for Sven, but Sven is way too tanky at this point. Bar this way instantly pops his ultimate to try to get any sort of damage, but Person goes that way too quickly. Sadie now is excited. Look at all the damage coming in. All the feathers fly. What is that, Nomi? That was beautiful to see. The feathers are stacked up, and that's a bird flying high as Arcane Teddy comes in. The Flawless Duet doesn't connect, but he doesn't even care. Meanwhile, it's going to be the looming darkness going through the entire Summoner's Rift, and Sven is trying to sustain himself, but it's not enough. Give me some personal space, give me some personal light. Nomi just outplayed this fight.
Nomi did outplay that fight, and it's all because Sadie didn't have flash, had to flash away from the initial engage, and when the Feather Storm came down, Nomi saw his opportunity to execute that Jinx, and it means they end up winning out on this team fight. They won't lose this dragon. They're going to level it up against Lightside right here, but how many times are they going to be able to get a fight like that? We're going to have to wait and see, but Nomi is finally online. Muramana was in the back pocket there for the Zarya, and that's why so much damage was able to come out. The Jinx Rocket Fly is looking for that dragon. The attempted steal that won't be had. Rate at least biting back on the back of that push, and definitely very needed, because I mean they were starting to lose so much. They lost 2 towers in that push alone. Born This Way goes in, but it looks stuck on the bottom side. Sadie separated from the rest of the team. Sadie forced the flash away from that. Wind becomes lying, and the resets do come in, but look at Nomi, right? Already has 3 feathers behind. Feather Storm, they come down, no flash available, even locks up back members as well to ensure that no follow-up can be had on this Cataclysm towards Topi. It's just Fatty P who isn't able to get the damage down because that Zhonya's stopwatch comes in. Born This Way does end up falling, but just a very great, well-orchestrated fight from Rate when it comes down to it here in this particular instance. Arcane Teddy as well does eventually come in to find a cleanup kill, and Svene manages to somehow find Topi over the wall. His efforts of pathing won't be in vain, but that is still the base cracked open by Lightside for Rate. And there's going to be an open inhibitor they're going to have to deal with as Jinx approaching that 4th item. Bloodthirster, it looks like, given the items, the components. They're just going to be able to go between lane to lane. If they stick as 5, and this is definitely a crucial thing, if you have to deal with teams that their win conditions in team fights are kind of based around flanks, if you just play to side lanes as a 5, they can only really approach you from one angle, pretty much. And that is, well, 2. And that's from the side, where you should have vision set up, as you can see, they kind of do. And then from the front. And right now, you can see defensive patterns. It's going to be difficult to break that.
This way. Be careful. Seti gets touched. It's going to be the looming darkness in follow-up. He goes golden, and on the back line, the Cataclysm is going to lock down at least 2 members, so there's not enough damage. It means that Arcane Teddy is not able to pull through, and this is allowing Seti to deal way too much damage. Nomi gets the rocket on the face, and Fatty P flashes in to seal the deal. And now it's going to be Lightside to take the T2, take the T3, and maybe the inhibitor as well.
Yeah, maybe the inhibitor as well. I mean, they could maybe look for the game here. There's no wave clear available to Rate at the moment. Archer, I think this is game 1 going to Lightside. Born This Way person, they've got to pull off a miracle here. Lightside, they see what we do. They're going for the game end.
They needed to prove themselves, and they are doing it. Born This Way wants to go in. The knockup is there, but the turret is going down way too fast. Born This Way pops the clock, but meanwhile, it's going to be person going down. Topi survives. Topi is there. Will he be able to do anything at all? The fear doesn't connect. There's no fear in Lightside because they face Rate, and they're going to take the first one on the best of 5.
Lightside, despite the expectation set, they do take Rate in this first game here. They go up 1 game, and I mean, I have to say, much better looking from the regular season, because these were basically all of the checklists that we had sort of personally for us here on the caster desk for Lightside. Being proactive in the early game, check. Actually having a win condition that they play towards, check. Draft was all thematic with one another, check. And they didn't really even have to deny the Rate side pretty much anything. They just played towards their own draft, and once they started to get the leads, it just felt like Rate were never able to come back into the game. And I will say that is partially, in my opinion, on Rate too. They didn't necessarily push Arcane Teddy into a position where he was super far ahead. They didn't put too many resources into him. It did feel like Born This Way was maybe, I'm not going to say a little bit absent, but it felt like as a team, Rate weren't really pushing to get any particular lead ahead. So let's see what they can try and adapt to in game number 2, because that was definitely not the kind of performance rather that I was expecting coming out of Rate in game 1.
Yeah, from what we've seen through the entire split, this is not right. So let's see what happens on the second game. Obviously, kudos to Lightside. They played this perfectly as well. They got Seti ahead. They got the Jinx, and that's more than enough. They played as a cohesion team. So that is going to be the first one for Lightside. Let's see what happens on the second one. Which side is Raid Gaming going to decide as well for the second champion select? They decided to go for the red one. It was not enough for them. So after this break, we'll certainly see what's going to happen.